Lives on. We'll bring up the map veto for you.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where we go as far as maps, because as we talk about, Supremacy have not won any yet, so hopefully for their sake they're going to go to a map they're at least strong on to give them some chance. But as we mentioned in the previous matchup, if you're at the bottom of the scoreboard, these are not the kind of teams you want to be playing against when you have yet to find a single win, as it's, well, a lot less likely to go to any kind of win here, unless they manage to catch Secret off guard. However, as I said, they have played a lot of matches, so Supremacy have had the opportunity over 10 weeks to learn a lot leading up to this, and hopefully they have done so, because they are dangerously close to not getting to play any more Pro League outside of these next 3 weeks.
And they're fast approaching a point of no return as well. If both Chaos and Vitality had put points up today, coupled with a loss of Supremacy, that could have been all it took to keep them from being able to get out of that 8th and final spot. If the math that I saw during the break is correct, they're still in a position where it is theoretically possible for Supremacy to be able to climb out of that 8th place spot, but it's very, very difficult. Coastline, who we've seen played twice so far today, is the first ban, so we will have a new map, which is nice, and it'll be Bank.
All right, that's one that I think Supremacy is decent at. We've seen some decent play from them on that map. However, obviously they have not won it, as they've not won any map. So this is a decent map for them, but I think Secret also have a lot of good plays on this map. So not going to be easy for Supremacy. It's definitely going to be, much as the case with the previous match, they're going to have to look for any mistakes that Secret makes and try and exploit them as best as possible, because Secret will definitely be doing that to them.
Secret's still a team that are really a newer roster when you really think about it. They've had this whole season to gel with, but other than that, they had a big learning curve going through Challenger League, and a lot of times competing against opposition that wasn't quite the same caliber of skill as them. And like I said, they burned through Challenger League last season, didn't drop a single map to get there. So it was a really heroic performance for a team that was eliminated from Challenger League under different circumstances than you usually would find a team in relegations. How do you, as a community, feel about this matchup? Do you think that Secret's going to have the edge here? Do you think Supremacy's going to have the edge here? We ask you what the community vote is going to be. I would imagine that it's probably not going to be as big of a difference as what we just saw. 78 to 16%. So there's 16% of you that are pretty. You're pretty confident that Supremacy's going to get their very first win here in this matchup.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's. I mean, had they not lost the last 10 times, I would say, oh, maybe they have a chance, but it's looking less and less likely. I mean, it's likely that at some point they're going to win one match, but this is not necessarily the one that is really favoring that possibility, as they are fighting the top of the scoreboard here.
Bank is going to be very interesting for us to watch, because Secret can play Leon in particular really aggressively.
Yeah.
Give him an ACOG, let him roam around, have him peek everything, land his shots. Bank is a map that is certainly very well tailored on defense to an ACOG heavy lineup.
Yeah.
Echo and Maestro see quite a bit of play. It also happens to be a very Rook as well as Doc friendly style of map, especially when you're defending CEO upstairs, especially when you're defending open area. So, I mean, it's strategies like that I think will go quite well in the favor of Secret. Supremacy does have fragging potential. Anthrax, not a bad shot. K6, not a bad shot. Alive, not a bad shot. If you look at the way that these teams play as a whole, I find that a lot of times Supremacy, who play also a very similar free-flowing style of play, they just kind of move their roamers around, sometimes not in coordination with one another. You can get away with that a little bit better on Bank, depending on the way that your opponent's entry, because it's such a big map that you can usually try and engage from long range and hope that somebody else is nearby, even if it's not exactly a connected roam.
I mean, you got to imagine that Secret are going to be pretty well versed on how to clear it and hold properly. But as you said, it's such a big map with 5 people. You can only hold so much. It's just going to definitely be a case of whether or not Supremacy can manage to find some holes in that. I feel like with aggressive Ashe players like Alive as well, if they can do proper droning for him and give him a good entry point, he could put a bit of a dent in Secret if he's able to catch people like Leon on the roam. Leon tends to not miss a lot of shots, but if Alive has the intel advantage, it's possible they could catch him on the roam, be an early pick. We do see Leon occasionally get picked off early because he's such an aggressive roamer.
Yeah.
So that is one opportunity they could try and take advantage of on their attacks. But in this case, we do have them starting on defense. So that roam you're talking about is, again, going to have to try and find some holes in the attack. They're going to have to look at where's their common entry point. Where are they going from there? Which side of the site are they most likely to take? Can we play for ways to get around behind them? Because a straight flank isn't going to work. You're going to need to really get behind a mass of them, hopefully group them up in the same area, and just hope you can spray enough into them to take out two and maybe trade enough to get a man advantage, because otherwise it's really going to be very difficult to win, because this is a very well-coordinated team against a not-so-coordinated team.
Like I said, Secret typically is a very methodical team, and as good as there's fragging potential on both sides of the board, fragging potential is only going to take you so far. Secret is likely going to be prepared, for a lot of what Supremacy throws at them. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this and try to make it seem like this is going to be a battle of two equals. Secret are going to have a very significant leg up in this matchup. They're probably going to be the team that has a deeper well of knowledge to draw strats from on bank. And yeah, maybe it's a bit of a wash in regards to just pure aiming ability, pure mechanical skill. Maybe Supremacy has the edge in that regard, and maybe bank tends to be a map where that can get you very far. Look at NIP, for example. This is a map that NIP oftentimes thrives on for the same reason.
Yeah.
But when you're going up against well-practiced strategies and the ability to lock down certain parts of the map, it doesn't really matter how well you're able to aim, because when you're playing a team like Secret who's anticipating where you're coming from, either on attack or defense, aim's not really going to get you that far when you're walking right into where they expect you to be.
It's going to be down to intel and good IGL,
Yes.
really, from Supremacy. If the IGL can take the information that they are able to gather, make the right calls with it, it's just going to be about catching individual players, I think, of Secret, picking them off one at a time, because attacking them as a group going to be very difficult without a really good flank. It's going to be down to, can we pick off people like Leon when he's on his individual attack, or Rome as a defender? Then can we turn that into picking off a few more people, like Alems especially would be who I would go after second. Mm-hmm. If you can pick up those two, that's where you start to have a chance. If you let them live, they tend to really punish you for it.
Yeah. And I mean, punishing mistakes is a big part of Secret's strategy. I mean, it's very difficult to build a strat around punishing mistakes. It's just one of those things that you as a team need to be prepared for. But it doesn't matter how good they are. Usually Secret has the ability to punish them. Now, when I look at a map like Bank, I go back to that whole ACOG sort of deal. The way that Secret plays, usually a very connected roam game to their anchors, it's going to be very difficult for a team that isn't as well coordinated to be able to push. And I mean, Bank is a bit of a wash. It tends to be a map that the defense do quite well on, but it's very contingent on, what operators are banned, what teams are playing. So it's not a given one way or another. I look at Secret as being usually stronger on attack than on defense, so that'll be something to watch out for, though their defensive play is no slouch. And if you don't ban an operator, like Pulse, for example, one of Lackey's most played operators, that's just continuously going to be an operator that is going to know exactly where Supremacy is, as long as Lackey plays conservatively and smart, which he usually does with Pulse. And especially when you look on that CCTV site downstairs, that's going to be continuous information that he's giving to the rest of his team.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the operator bans. I think the operator bans are definitely going to make a difference. Like you said, banning a Pulse, perhaps. You really have to target ban some of the strongest operators they have, rather than just comfort picks for you, because you need to find some way to disable them. Maybe you don't like Glaz, but you know what? If you need to ban the Lion on them because it's going to be a much more useful operator for them, you got to ban it. Even if it means you have to deal with a different operator you don't like dealing with, because you need to take down any pigs you can on their strength, I think.
Yeah. So we're just going to be ready in just a couple minutes in order to get in here and get things started on Bank. This is a big game as well, and let's focus on the broader sense of these playoffs here for Secret as well as Supremacy. So points-wise, for Supremacy, no wins, a couple draws, all losses. Unfortunate position to find them in. Secret, on the cusp of a playoff spot. Now, they were gifted the fact that both Penta and Millennium tied today. If they get a tie or a loss from Mocket, and this is a victory for Secret, that goes a huge way towards trying to grow a distance in second place. Now, you got Mocket sitting 1 point ahead of you playing Vitality. Vitality is just as Supremacy is, just as Chaos is, towards the bottom of the standings. Mocket's schedule only gets harder from here on out.
Yeah.
if Secret can win this and get all 3 points,
Which is likely.
which is doable. I would also say likely, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to taint the match before we.
It's true, and I don't mean this in a biased sense. I just mean in a, well, let's pay attention to what's happened so far, and this is the more likely result. I do hope for upsets, though. I definitely am not saying, like, I hope Secret win this. It's the case of, like, just statistically, they are likely to win this, but I do hope to see that Supremacy put up a really good fight, or maybe even take it to a draw.
So here we have the standings for you to take a look at. At the end of today, there will only be 9 points remaining. So even if Supremacy fail to put up a single point, in terms of numbers, it's still possible for them to get out of that 8th spot, because 9 points at the end of today sits at 11. There is a possibility that if Chaos lose their next 3 games, Vitality lose their next 3 games, and Supremacy wins their next 3 games, Supremacy can jump up to 6. Now, that's not very likely. They haven't gotten a win yet this season, and expecting them to win the next 3, well, that's a tall order. But if you look at the way that these standings are Secret above as well, if Secret get 3 points, yeah, they're still going to keep very close to Mocket, and there's a good chance that in our next matchup in Mocket versus Vitality, that Mocket can regain that 2nd point, or 2nd place. But the bigger focus for me right now is towards the bottom of those standings. Chaos, Vitality, and Supremacy are all sitting lumped together. Supremacy, very, very close on that razor's edge of no return, and might be the first team that we see where mathematically they can't get out of auto relegation. But everybody is here now, so we'll load into Bank and we'll get things underway with Secret versus Supremacy.
Well, here comes those bans here. So this is where they really need to play it smart to try and get any kind of advantage they have. They have the first ban. They got to know what Secret like to ban, and that is where they can actually make sure they have an advantage. We were talking about that with the G2 match, where banning Lion was definitely a mistake because you got to know that G2 were going to ban that, and you don't want to give away a free ban because if you can target ban a specific operator rather than a general pick, you do get a slight advantage. They are going to ban the Glaz, so that is most likely Secret going to ban the Lion, although to be fair, Secret are willing to place Lackey, you were mentioning as his target operator of Pulse, also a great Lion player, something to consider as well, that they might leave that on the board just so Lackey can play it. And they are going to do so. What a surprise, Alive getting target banned yet again. Seems to happen very often. They just really like to disable him as much as possible. But that means Lion's still going to be available, which I can imagine Lackey's going to be on. They are going to ban Clash, though. So that means Maverick is still on the board, but Clash is not. We'll see if we end up with an Echo, a Maestro, a Valkyrie, something along those lines right here. There it is, the Mira, of course. I was hoping for something different, but
I like that they banned Ashe, and this is a strategy against Supremacy because, as I mentioned before, Alive runs that Ashe so well. That's a huge hindrance to Supremacy right off the bat.
Yep.
And I mean, to be fair, you're not going to see its significance until after that 5th round when we head into Supremacy's time on attack. So, I mean, it's quite possible that, you know, it's quite possible that Supremacy make it work without an Ashe on their team, but it's a obvious counter ban against Supremacy. No surprise here as you look in the top right of your corner as we also continue to talk about operators. It looked like there was a Lion that was going to be played, but the Lion's roar will be silenced as Jackal ends up being that 6th pick and no more Lion for Secret.
yeah, they're just going to have Lackey on Zofia instead. So, I mean, I think it's more important for them to track than it is for them to freeze them in this case because they want to clear, make sure that the roamers are at least identified where they're at rather than just standing still. Because you rarely see anyone move during Alliance. It's not like you're going to get a lot of positional information. It more just helps you push onto people that you already know where they're at. They are going to be bringing the IQ, though, which will give them a little bit of extra information on those yokais. Also, some of the evil eye positions, things like that. Maybe also spot some of K6's Grisbot mines. They are going to be playing down in the basement, so I would expect to see a good majority of the players downstairs, although we could see a few of them on their own, most likely K6. We do see some of the other players, though, for example, playing close to site, like playing the stairs, either the server stairs or the skylight stairs right there. There are definitely 2 ways to play it in terms of being somewhat aggressive and denying their ability to push down onto the site.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser. Attackers' objective is to locate
All
a
right,
bomb and defuse
let's
it.
get round 1 underway now, and Secret will all spawn up over in Alleyway. I mean, with a team like Supremacy, it wouldn't be too much of a surprise to possibly see them take a gamble on a on a spawn peak there. But it could possibly be a zero-sum game. Maybe you get a kill, maybe you get traded off.
Well, it sort of worked for Chaos.
Yeah.
For the one round that they won.
I mean, you're absolutely right. It did. It did very much work out. So, droning work being done from Secret. Right now, you can see not a ton of roam coming out from Supremacy right off the bat. And this is something that there's not atypical for this site, but also not that unusual. It's about a 50-50 split here, whether teams want to play really heavy defense around the site and play aggressively nearby. As you can see, it looks like the silhouette of Diju's playing on these main stairs, and we'll get spotted. The Jaeger playing, the aid of a yokai drone there as well, and that's Alive, the pretty typical fragger playing on the more support-based role. You'll have the Thermite as well as the exothermic charges, or the X-Karos charges, rather, of Leon Gids working away, as there's no hard breacher banned, and unlike the G2 matchup, it'll be both hard breachers being brought out from Secret.
That will definitely help, because there are hatches and, and walls both to open on this, as well as giving yourself a backup if one of those dies. So that is a smart play. Alive again, trying to help his teammate out on the stairs with a Echo Drone. This time leading, unfortunately, into K6's death. The Jews did manage to get away from his fight, but at least taking off half health on Lackey is okay, as Alems is also on low health. But it's still going to be difficult for them to turn that into a kill, and Alive may have lost one, if not both, of his drones as well.
And the Ella is just a pure fragger that they've missed out on. Lackey, at the moment, trying to determine where there might be a yokai drone or maybe even an Evil Eye playing. And he's still got one of those explosive rounds left. He was primed and ready to use it on the barbed wire, but the right call to hold off, and you'll see Lackey going down, and, well, there's going to be no explosive ability from the lifeline. Trying to watch the possible cover is going to be the Jackal of Meepy above. Steezy going for the plant, the Thermite in the pretty typical spot. He'll miss it though, and he'll end up dropping it. He'll bait out a single smoke. And as you can see from Supremacy, there'll be no C4s on the board whatsoever. Trying to choke off the lines of sight, Meepy from above still at the hatch. The C7E will just rip right through Tactus as the smoke goes prone, but Anthrax is there to take out Steezy. Meepy drops, tries to take everything into his own hands. Pre-fire, but it won't connect. There you have Anthrax in great position. Plant needs to go down from Alems, and Leon's taking him out, but a big double kill from Diju's. Supremacy, a strong start playing downstairs. They'll get the first round. They need to keep this one up. Secret's inability to get the plant off, and a bit of a waste of their utility, that yokai drone and the Evil Eye being a significant hindrance, and there's no follow-up from Team Secret.
Yeah, I definitely got to give credit to Alive, the way he was playing his yokai drones. Wasn't able to save both the lives of the roamers in terms of, well, I mean, slightly roaming, I suppose, but it was a good way to try and keep them going. I mean, Juice was able to get a lot out from it. He was there to play at the end, which definitely helped. I mean, it was a bummer losing control of the server stairs, but I feel like they played smartly against the confidence of Secret. Secret were making a very confident attack, felt like they had a lot of control, but they were slowly getting whittled down because they were pushing right into Supremacy, who had only lost one team member and seemed to be ready for that push when it came. They had even left the wall soft, so the double hard breach was really not necessary. We'll see them go to CEO next, though, and see how they defend on here. Now, Lackey is going to be on that Lion this time, and Leon going to be picking up the Sophie. There's Alive on that ACOG. Talk about the ACOGs here, and they're going to be that double ACOG with Alive on the dock and K6, this time picking up the Echo. So Alive's still going to be an ACOG. He just trades up which operator he's playing on. We'll see if K6 can do an equally good job in terms of at least trying to help those drones, if not making some stuns happen.
10 seconds left.
Castle, though,
insertion.
pretty common for this bomb site, is going to be setting up there, and they are not bringing a Hibana. That is something that does help dealing with the castle barricades, so not having double hard breachers this time, actually potentially working out against them in the sense that they have a little less flexibility. They still potentially can use the Thermite to Thermite the back walls, but that is always tricky to do. However, there is no denial in terms of Bandit or Mute Jammer to stop them from just opening it up. It is down to impact nades, and they might not even be bringing any impact nades, as I think If I remember correctly, Smoke is the only one who could be potentially even have those, and that's so uncommon.
The Castle could have it as well.
Castle, that's right, yeah. That was
So Castle could have impact nades available, and there you have it, Anthrax with 2. It's very common to see a Castle or a Legion get played at the back of CEO and use those impact nades to try and flummox any exothermic charges or even the Thermite trying to get the exothermic charge down on the wall.
Yeah, it is very likely they're going to be able to try and at least bait that out, maybe even succeed. But either way, I feel like they can potentially frag their way in if they're not able to open up those walls either way. Well, they're going to play it carefully from the outside first, opening up those windows, and that's going to put pressure on that castle that you were just talking about.
Bomb has been located.
Still, though, he's going to hold his ground right next to the windows as he hides in the corner, but now Alens knows where he's at. This is where Leon could start firing some of those grenades or concussions in to start to stun him, but it looks like they don't want to put too much pressure on just yet. Just wait for him to make a move.
Very disorienting to watch this, but possibly able to capitalize on the Castle, who will need to go for the impact. He'll move ever so slightly as the Lion is in play. Leon will miss his shots. I don't think he expected the Castle to go for that rotate, but Alem's shot off of Rappel as Steezy is able to open up the wall. That's important. Dijus, the Jaeger, gone. Lackey playing as the Lion. Gotten his gadget off earlier and now with the kill he needs. Upside down, Leon get the kill that is desired onto Anthrax. He missed it earlier on, but will make no mistake the second time. See you later to the Castle.
Well, man advantage finally over to Team Secret here, and they are going to be trying to get into these windows, but this is a lot of people on Rappel. A crazy jump out at the right time could make this really punished.
It doesn't look like there's anybody playing over by Banana either, but I mean, you don't necessarily always need that coverage. You have a Lion available to you. Leon will dump in 3 concussive mines. Smoke goes down from Meepy. As you can see, a Toxic Babe gets tossed out from Tactus. Steezy going for the plant in a typical default spot, just behind the bookcase inside of CEO. Meepy trying to deal some great coverage here on the Tactus. Steezy falls off, and we'll go for a plant now behind the leather chair of the CEO desk. Great play from Tactus, not running the SMG-11. That's a change that we've seen a number of times, but not a ton of smokes employing the pistol. Plant goes down quite successfully. Steezy has been down, so Lackey and Leon will need to do all the plant cover so far. You got Leon Gids on Rappel outside, upside down. He'll see yet another body of the Echo, and he'll win that fight quite easily. Lackey retreating and just needs to try to watch the diffuser. Nobody even close to possibly getting this plant off. Alive falls, Tactus last left. He was sitting inside of the janitorial closet. Pull out the pistol and take out Lackey, but still on Rappel, upside down is Leon. Very disorienting. Getting past the point of no return here, but closing out as Tactus will have no choice but to defend. I don't even know if he has the time to get the diffuser, but regardless, there's Leon, who's still undisturbed on Rappel, upside down, and it's a rush of blood to the head as Leon Gids gets 3 very important frags, and Secret will take the round on CEO.
It's interesting to see just Leon hanging upside down in one position basically the entire round and still being very successful. It was, I mean, how often do you get, we have had rounds like that, but how often do you get a lot of coverage from just hanging outside the entire time? And not as a Glaz, not as a Blackbeard, anything like that. It's just, I'm going to play upside down in a position that's hard to get me out of, and good luck. It seemed like they tried a few times, almost made it work, but it just, Leon, not really needing to change positions, was able to stay on top of his angles. They are going to try open area, which, as we've talked about many times, is often a big fail. It rarely works, regardless of what strategy you seem to have. Seems to be too easily taken apart. There's too many hatches, there's too much outside access, too many different ways to be able to get a push started, along with being able to thermite the wall into the kitchen. Just so many ways to attack this, not as many ways to defend it. I mean, it'd be great if they were able to pull it off, but this is very likely going to be another round for Secret. Would have been smarter, I think, to just play Teller's Archives, as that has a much higher success rate.
I mean, open area does work, but I mean, you really have to invest upstairs, while at the same time ensuring that where Mute was playing over by Copier, you don't get pushed from and cut off. Because that stock room upstairs, the trading room with the trading stocks, it's very difficult, actually, by the way, as a side note, because there's like the janitorial stock room upstairs, and then across from it, it's the stocks trading room. Very difficult. Anywho, the trading room, that's up top. If you lose control of that room, it's very tough to hold on to the rest of this site. And it can fall apart very fast. It's akin to bathroom tellers hold on Porter. It's the same as we see on Tower as well on Oregon. These are sites where if you lose them fast, you don't have really much of an option for a retake. Very similar to what we used to see over on Exhibition side of things on Skyscraper 2. The defenders are just at an inherent disadvantage being able to get back towards the site. So if Secret can manage to get control of that stock trading room from above, have a lot of vertical pressure there, and then make the rest of Supremacy have to play from either outside of the main stairs or downstairs in that admin office down below, it's a good spot that Secret could find themselves in.
Now, the big problem, of course, with that sort of thing is you're eventually going to lose top floor control. Rarely is there a top floor control on any bomb site where you don't eventually lose it. It's just a question of how many bodies you could slay before that happens.
Oh!
But Leon, not going to make that easy.
Oh.
There goes the smoke already. So now they're going to depend on the Echo to stall things out when it comes to that point.
Perfectly timed with when the Jackal track updated, so you knew that that was a live mark, because if it wasn't, you'd find the silhouette from the Lion. Great coordination from Secret to be able to get that kill, and that's the smoke as well. So you'll really only have one more plant denial operator available. That's Echo. You've got a C4 presumably on the mute, unless they did run a bulletproof camera there, as we've seen some mutes do. And bulletproof cameras actually do have quite a bit of usage here on Bank. It's one of the few secondary gadgets that always gets overlooked, I feel like, because Maestro is so good at doing the same thing, and, well, by Jove, he's got two of them. Anywho, Steezy will find Dijus and the Jaeger down. That was one off-site player. You can see from Meepy's perspective that this wall inside Archives has been opened up, admin office, and then all the way into open area as well. So this gives a lot of rotation for Supremacy, as well as the ability to play long angles with the ACOGs of both the Echo as well as the Maestro.
Well, they've definitely done a good job taking control of the archive side that they can use to push into tellers, take control from behind, and then Thermite can blow the big wall that he's doing right now in the kitchen. He also has the potential to blow as well, but Lackey and Leon had just crept on in.
And I mean, you say creep, that was more like a bulldoze. They get 2 kills, and Alive, who was taking quite a sweet amount of time, rotating in. He'll toss out a C4, but it's just short. MP5K that he has, not exactly the most adept weapon at engaging in multiple fights, and both Leon Gids as well as Lackey there to secure the kill, and Team Secret get 2 in a row, with Diffuser going down at the last second. So even if the Mute had walked away from that encounter with his life intact, you still have to deal with the fact that there's 4 members of Secret and a Diffuser down.
Well, so far we're seeing a repeat to an extent of what we saw with the G2 match, where they lose the first round and then seem to be able to get their act together and just start, you know, storming them at that point. They are going to be able to go back down to lockers, though, which is the bomb site that they've won. But I feel like this time Secret are going to be a bit more prepared. So if you're Supremacy, you need to bring something a bit different this time, but it doesn't look like they're going to do that. They are going to switch back to the L again. They're going to depend a bit on Alive to help out with those Echo drones. Some of that worked last time, and they can capitalize off of that, but it's just the case of I don't think they're going to be able to pull off the defense of the actual bomb site as well as they did last time, because you're not going to see the same mistakes come out, I would say. Plus, they're also going to have Lackey online this time, which is something they didn't have that first round, as they had 6th pick off the line for the Jacko, which BP is just going to be on right now anyway, so I feel like they are better set up for it. Now, they are going to go without the double hard breacher this time. You know, they left the wall soft last time, so they didn't need the Thermite. I imagine they're counting on that being the same situation this time, which may or may not be true. Now, Supremacy technically saw the lineup and could decide to reinforce seeing no Thermite, but of course there could be a 6th pick to a Thermite.
It does look like they might actually keep that wall soft. In fact, both of the walls look like they're going to get soft. Or, well, not get soft. But it looks like they're going to stay soft downstairs on the CCTV wall. So, good choice for soft destruction. They had the breaching charges on the IQ last time to open up one of those walls. Alem's running the breaching charges yet again on IQ. So, it's an option that they can go with for a second time if need be.
Yeah, they also have the Zofia as well. So,
I mean, the biggest issue that you saw Secret struggle with on that first round was being able to pin down the anchors while covering the plant. And I mean, they lost, what, 2 planters, and it forced Meepy to have to drop the hatch in an act of desperation. And interestingly enough, the smoke that Meepy threw down that was originally designed to try and keep the defenders from being able to see where the plant was going off worked very much against Secret, because they didn't have the info to battle back. So all the gunfire that was coming out from Supremacy, it hit its targets because it's much easier to be a defender and you know where you're going to be playing from. It's a lot harder from Secret's perspective. So, as you mentioned, they'll forego the second hard breacher. So 2 rounds of X-Karos from Steezy will go out here, and they'll be used on the hatches to try and pin some people down. Inside of the server stairs, you know that there's going to be some pressure being applied, and burning out the ADS is Leon Gids here. We'll see, then go back to drone if the Jaeger is still playing there. No, but it's an Ella now, so they'll both get hit from it at the same time. And oh, K6 wins the duel, but Alems refrags. And they'll lose the Zofia in the process. They'll also lose one of the Yokais from Supremacy. He's alive. His drone gone.
Well, pretty much the same result as last time. The Jews was able to hold the stairs till he fell off, took no damage. The Yellow wasn't able to hold the server stairs, got killed. This time, the advantage Supremacy that he was at least able to get a kill first before dying. So slightly better for Supremacy, but the same attack coming down for the most part. But this is where the adjustments need to happen now. They have the line to be able to lock it down.
And this is a big stumbling block last time. This Evil Eye here that they're going to try to open up, they'll lose it. This was something that Secret were unable to do last time. Coverage for Steezy. No C4 that can get tossed out. Once again, Supremacy not running a C4 heavy lineup. The Jaeger of Dijus shots at his Achilles heel, quite literally. Alive manages to take out Meepy, and that's a double kill for Alive. He'll close this gap and give Supremacy a fighting chance as Diffuser goes down just a couple seconds before. We're about halfway through, and Mark still from a drone will give Steezy as well as Alems a possible opportunity to jump in here. Close range kill. Steezy a double kill. He's warming up. Can he go for a third? Just waiting. Diffuser still down. Pulls out the Bearing 9. He's going to get pushed from Dijus. Anthrax is down, and it'll be Alems. They're credited with the 2 kills. Man, what a round.
Got to credit them for being able to hold off that defuse. I mean, getting the plant down, I mean, it's pretty normal that once that plant gets down, unless they can rotate around to flank you from behind on the server stairs, then most often it's going to be a situation where they can cover the plant well, but it was down to a 2v4 situation. Advantage was in the defender's favor outside of the plant being down, so good coverage by the last 2 remaining attackers. Yeah,
so we'll see here if there's a possible rehost coming in for just maybe a graphical bug. We'll wait just to see, but there's a couple things to break down here. Number one, all the major errors that Secret committed on that very first round, they fixed.
Yeah.
They were able to take out the Evil Eye. They hunted down the Yokai drones. They baited out utility early, and all they really lost in the process was the Zofia. Now, Alive came pretty darn close to keeping that round in Supremacy's column. As it looked like in a 2v4, it was a very winnable situation for the 4 of Supremacy. But here's one of the biggest issues with that site in particular is you're held down through narrow angles. You have to funnel through either the doorway or that small breaching round that was opened up, or breaching charge hole that was opened up. At that point, it's so easy to just hold those 2 angles. And Supremacy, knowing that they were running out of time, they didn't bother to commit a body to possibly go for a flank. They could have sent somebody up the main stairs to possibly try and put pressure on server from the other side. That would have done huge things towards keeping Supremacy into the fight, but...
Well, I mean, the thing is, they did the exact same defense again, and the exact same parts of it worked in the beginning, but that sped up things for Secret because they knew exactly what the defense was going to be. They still droned it out to be thorough, but they knew exactly what they would be dealing with, so it wasn't really an issue for them. That made it much harder for Supremacy, who didn't change anything. Now, they're going to try again on the basement. This time, they are going to be bringing Alive on the Pulse instead of the Echo. So I'm curious to see how this works out, because they're probably going to play most of it the same way we see K6 playing the same position, for example. He was able to take down 1 last time, but that was it.
I appreciate Supremacy trying something new, but you don't defend CCTV lockers on bank without at least 1 C4.
Yeah.
At least 1. And they're not running operators with C4. Now, the
Outside
Pulse...
of the Pulse, I mean, yeah.
The Pulse will have one very likely. I'm hoping that Alive brought C4 and not barbed wire, and there you go. He does. He has the nitro cell available. But there's a rhythm to CCTV and lockers.
Yeah.
Part of why Supremacy has struggled this season is that basic things, being able to drone adequately, being able to have flank watch, etc., isn't quite there.
Clearing the
They
way.
don't have somebody
Throwing stun grenade.
possibly go. When it's a 4v2, you don't even have one person possibly try to go up and put pressure on, at the time it was a Lems, playing on the server stairs. They didn't do that. Instead, they just tried to funnel out through the same way. They didn't even try to open up the wall to try and tackle the Hibana, who was likely being called out. And then they're not even running a C4 here. Can Steezy walk away from this encounter? K6 is in major trouble, and there you go. Steezy, who had lost his life earlier on, will not this time around. They'll manage to get the Ella quite well. This is going to mean that for close-range engagements, Dijus and Alive will thrive unless Tactics can get close enough to close that gap with the shotgun. But my point being, Supremacy are making some pretty basic mistakes. Not bringing at least one C4, that's pretty damning. And I feel like it was just yesterday when we were watching Latin America, there were 4 C4s brought out when we saw a
For this
bank defense.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're watching FaZe and Pain play, and Pain are bringing 4 C4s to the site when Supremacy is bringing 0. That's a
the
pretty
thing is,
critical mistake.
Pulse has got to call out for those C4s. If he's the one who has to throw it, he cannot do that accurately. And there goes the Juice. Now, Juice should have been the one to be set up to go for a flank because he's going to be that 3-speed operator that can sneak around for that flank. He should not be contesting on site. He should be setting up to try and retake some map control.
You're going to see the Toxic Babe go flying way over the head of the planter of Steezy. This is all secret right now, and a Lion will be used to keep Anthrax in place. The Pulse of Alive will get spotted inside of Red. He'll escape over towards the gold side of things and now walk through Vault. He's got his sight looking towards Leon, and, I mean, this is a good opportunity for the Hibana to get this final kill. Very difficult for the Pulse to be able to outfrag them all, but Alive with a great shot. He'll manage to walk away, 25 HP, and goes for the wall where we'd seen the Hibana playing last time around. But Alive has only a quarter of the diffuser left, and Meepy watching the hatch from above. Diffuser down and a lockout from Secret. As you said, very similar to the G2 Chaos matchup. It's 4-1 in favor of Secret right now, and 3 of those rounds, they got the plant down quite successfully.
Yeah, it's definitely a case where we saw a lot of repetitiveness from Supremacy. The Lockers 3 times. They did manage to win it once, but that was the first round, which, much like the G2 match, it seems to be a thing with these strong teams that they just take a round or two to warm up, to figure out how the other team's playing, and then from there it tends to be a bit more of a landslide. Now we'll see Lockers again this time as the side switch happens. See what Secret does on it. Now they're bringing a somewhat similar, an exactly similar lineup to what we saw coming out from Supremacy, although they may still 6-pick away from some of that. As far as attackers go, they are going to start with the double hard breach. I got to imagine Secret probably will reinforce that wall. There's the 6th pick from Stiz, who's going to be bringing out the Valkyrie instead. And Jackal, which was the 6th pick as well from Secret the first round, this time from IQ to Jackal for Supremacy. So this should be interesting. Now they are bringing a Capital, which is something that Secret didn't do, which may or may not help them on this here, depending on how they're going to try and actually use that. I gotta imagine they know that Lockers is going to be the first bomb site, so that is something designed for that. Could be the case where they're just going to try and use the smoke and fire to try and cut off anyone from Red Hallway or the door from stopping the plant, which is definitely something you can do, especially if you want to drop the hatch. But we'll see how he uses it. Definitely going to be something that he's got to live, of course, long enough to do that. So we'll see if Secret bothers to have anyone on roam. So far it looks like we have 4 men down on site, assuming they all stay there. They may or may not have one person on roam. Could be Stiz as well, roaming with the C4 and Black Eyes. But we have, it looks like Leon going to go creep on out. He is usually the roamer, so that makes sense for him to run out on Jaeger. Something I was saying Juju's probably should have been doing a bit more of, although he would usually fall off, at least without damage, so I got to give him credit for that. And there's that typical Evil Eye setup, just like Supremacy did. Gotta have the one in Garage as well, so of course you don't stick anyone in there to guard it.
I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised that Secret didn't put any focus on Garage at all when they went for their attack.
I guess they just didn't feel it was necessary to commit bodies to that when they could commit a lot more to helping make sure that the plant goes down.
I mean, the way that Supremacy was playing their defense, there wasn't really much of a need here
Yeah.
to have to go in through Garage either, because you didn't really have somebody playing inside of the Lockers bomb site. You know, you could have possibly focused on the smoke playing inside of Red, but that's, I suppose, it. Really? I mean, it's understandable why they wouldn't go through Garage, but I am surprised that it didn't really seem like there was much motion there at all, whether it was a drone or not. So
Yeah.
The Jaeger of Leon is going to get spotted here on the server stairs. He's playing with one ADS. We've seen some teams as of late be running very heavily here in gadget usage on those stairs, putting in mute jammers, putting in a deployable shield, putting in a number of ADSs. But it does appear that it's just going to be the Jaeger playing with a solitary ADS, and it's going to get burned out as Alive is able to can walk down to the bottom of the stairs. And because there's no Ash available, he's going to run with the Zofia as well. Lackey going to give information onto where the Zofia is, but Leon Gids knowing that the hatch above him, yeah, that's going to be constant pressure on the Jaeger now. He's in a tough spot.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be pinched out here pretty soon, but the longer he can stay alive, the more that they're going to have very little time to actually try to get a plant down. But there goes Leon. Great play by Alive.
He's going to get some help from Tactus there, putting down the asphyxiating bolt, and Leon had no choice but to move lest be suffocated, or asphyxiated rather, and possibly burned alive. Exothermic charge on the wall of CCTV, which Secret is going to reinforce this time rather than just leave up. That's going to mean that they have about 45 seconds to bait out 2 C4s and the smokes from Alems. But Steezy is not really close enough unless he rotates to be able to get that C4 into play. The Valkyrie of Steezy by the back elevator there. So he's going to need to try to get up because Lackey is going to be too important in order to call out these positions. The problem for Supremacy is they are in the perfect time for these smokes to do maximum damage. The second smoke will now go off with 25 seconds to go and 1 remote gas grenade down, but Dijus is there watching the hatch, and a Lems down means that the C4 is going to be the most important part of this execute. Asphyxiating bolts will go down, and Lackey tossing out that C4. He won't catch anything. Tactus watching quite well. Dijus gets a kill. Lackey can't get another as he only picks up 1, but K6 trades him off. And Supremacy, an excellent start to this attack for them. Once again, using that hatch control from above, and the Jackal, the star of the show.
I gotta say, yeah, that hatch getting blown open seemed to be an important part of the attack. Both the hatches, it just put a lot of pressure down on Secret that they just didn't seem to be able to do much about, kept getting put in compromised positions. A great play, though, getting that kill onto the smoke, because he'd only used, I believe, 2 of his smoke canisters, and as you said, that put pressure on the Pulse to be able to make a kill with the C4. He couldn't land it on anyone close enough, and that just kind of left them unable to stop a push. And they also were very aggressive, pushing down through the CCTV towards the hallway. They managed to lose 1 guy doing it, but were able to get the second one to trade it. Definitely made a difference. Now K6 doing the opposite of his 6th pick last time. They are going to try Tellers. They're not going to actually try Lockers again. Now this is that round going over to Supremacy does change things up from what we saw in the G2 match. Finally.
It's not going to be exactly the same.
No, it's definitely not. Not that we haven't had those nights that were like almost exactly the same.
There's that one Latin America night I feel like you and I did, and it was 6-1, 6-1, 6-1 or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Let's take a look here as I venture back through my my notebook.
As you travel through time.
Yeah, it was week 8 of Latin America, 6-1, 6-1, 6-1. Darn.
What a night.
Darn, what a night. It was a very fast night, actually, because that was also when Liquid and Bootcamp had to reschedule, so it was only 3 matches. I mean, you only take 7 rounds. That means that really there's only 3 rounds that in theory might not have been played if it had been 3 6-0s. So, anywho, Secret will go to Teller's Archives instead of doing what a number of teams will do, which is go back to the site you just lost, and their investment will be above. And Teller's Archives, decently played out here. You usually want some form of control at long range. That usually comes in the form of an ACOG. That's going to be Meepy. He's going to be running it on the dock. Then you've also got Lackey with the Valkyrie cameras, being able to continuously give information. Keep in mind that the front lobby area of Bank is so large and so open that you can stash a Valkyrie camera very effectively, and it's difficult for the attackers to find it unless they're running an IQ, which very luckily Supremacy has in the hands of K6. So this could be a good counter. As there you have it. Tactus just doing some basic work with his eyes to try and figure out where this Valkyrie camera is. Here's the problem for K6 though. He's entering through the opposite side of the map. He's sitting on top of Skylight Stairwell. So he might not be able to get that Valkyrie camera. That is more than likely in the front area of the Bank. Also, speaking of long-range fights, Tactus dropping a ton of HP there as he ended up under fire from both Leon Gids as well as Lackey. Lackey, the Valkyrie, playing in the front, and will get alive. So long, Zofia. Lackey looking to see if the Blackbeard will re-engage, but that's a big no.
Yeah, that's going to be dangerous for him to do a whole lot at this point, because Now all they have to do is land some body shots on him. They don't have to try and break his shield to get the shots on the head or even flank him. So that is a good chance that Tactus goes down next. Leon has taken a bit of damage, but there's a doc. This feels similar to the Kanto and Pengu situation, right? Where maybe you can heal them back up as, you know, Leon took advantage of some peeking. But Tactus is going to be brave and try and sneak his way in, and this is where Lackey's cameras that you were talking about absolutely going to pay off. But Stiz, in the meantime, there goes K6.
So the IQ will not be able to get the information needed. The Blackbeard will spot the cam, but his position given away. Lackey can't hit all the shots needed. Tactus downed, just about to expire, and however long it takes, 20 seconds or so for him in order to bleed out, unless he's deciding to try and hold the wound. It's going to leave Anthrax and Dijus the joint hard breach combo with a lot of work ahead of them. Dijus will start things off by dispatching Lackey from above, a clean headshot through the floor. Whether Dijus or Anthrax will be able to get over to the Blackbeard is anybody's guess. One in the front lobby, one towards Skylight Stairwell. So very spread out, and Anthrax, if he just pulled the trigger there, would have been able to get a wonderful bullet pen kill onto Leon Gids as well. The Blackbeard getting picked back up. So Tactus will now be back into the fight.
Does seem a little bit of a mistake that they let him live that long, but easy kill there. Unfortunately, Squadron Dijus doing fantastic this round.
I don't know if he got downed or not. He does. So it's the Blackbeard who's up right now, and he'll need to try to get to Dijus. The Thermite missing. How do you miss a solitary target? Anthrax finally gets a Lems. Steezy trying to just contest as best as he can. Plant going down. Blackbeard not too far off, but there you have it. The Legion of Leon Gids coming in at the last second to put this one onto match point, depriving Supremacy of getting that diffuser down. Very exposed onto the wall, left soft on the back of Tellers. We're going to head into round number 8 with Secret. Very, very close to 3 points.
Yep, definitely looking like there's a good chance they close out here, but they are going to play an open area, which, as I said, is a risky move. It is surprising that they wouldn't just rather go back to lockers at this point or even play CEO. But hopefully they've got a strat that's going to work. They seem to be able to win a lot of the gunfights, but not all of them, and that seems to be the big thing. Is you mentioned earlier that Supremacy might be good on the gunfights. It's the team coordination that's kind of hurting them. But if they can win enough of those gunfights, Secret can potentially fall apart. But they've only lost 2 rounds so far, so it's not really looking like that's likely to happen. K6 is going to do the opposite 6 pick again. This time from IQ to Jackal. But Leon going to sneak in a castle for this, which is, of course, something you do want to have. And that might have been to disguise the fact that it could be CEO or open area, because that is the 2 sites you're going to use castle the most. So I do like to use the 6 pick there to disguise, make them think you're going to go back to lockers.
Yeah. And I mean, on top of that, you need a castle for this site no matter what. You know, Castle and Mira make this site much more defendable, but I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I imagine that the Maestro cams are going to be pretty relevant, but once again, Secret working very well when they have a lot of information at their disposal. You know, you have Lackey playing on the Pulse.
Yeah.
You have the Valkyrie here that's being run by Lackey now as well. You've got the Evil Eyes available to you. You know, Echo is obviously unbanned, so you can run an Echo if need be, though Secret really hasn't been doing so. This is a good thing for Secret. An information overload very much doesn't really exist in this game at the same way that it does in others.
One thing that's not working out for Supremacy is I don't think they've run Lion at all. Now, of course, you know, much like with Mira, they're going to expect Lion to be banned a lot of the time, and then, you know, not run it, not have strats for it. But it does feel like that is something that would definitely be helping them here. I mean, I don't think you ever hear a team go, oh, I shouldn't have run Lion or we would have won that round. I think it's pretty much the opposite for the most part. So definitely something that's working against Supremacy.
Yeah. Supremacy on the ropes at the moment, still looking for their first victory. They're not going to get it because at best they can tie. So if we set the scene for what could possibly be the final round here, 1 point at most for Supremacy to go up to 3 points. They're going to get a good start, aided by the fact that Alems gets a little bit too brazen inside of the site from above. Yikes. And Dijus once again doing so well on that second floor.
He's definitely been getting a lot of good kills early on. Sometimes impact kills, sometimes not so much, but definitely whittling down the players. Unfortunately, much like I said before, we see individual performances that are good from this team. Is the overall team that's not winning.
Yeah, and Supremacy has good gunners, as I've said time and time again. You can't look at them and say that they don't have talent and potential in the lineup. It's just the team strats. And
I just wonder if it's comms.
It could be comms, but I mean, you look at it before. They don't run a single C4 on, the CCTV twice. They
That's true.
finally right that ship. Oh, great
Wow.
shot there from Meepy. Alive, peeks the kill hole. And that is a no thank you from Meepy. Peek and be no more. Tactus will find Leon Gids, though, so it's a belated refrag. Both teams will lose one in that process. And Leon Gids being the castle, you've really only lost the possibility of having the impacts to possibly impact trick if need be.
The important thing, though, is man advantage, finally Supremacy. So if they can get that coordination there, manage to find at least one more, I think in a 4v2 situation, as the attackers, they could probably pull it off. But I don't know. I mean, they are slowly running down on time here and just really just pushing Secret around the map without getting a lot more kills to follow it up.
Interesting possible rotate happening from Steezy as he dropped through the elevator hatch and can head towards the main stairs now. But he's getting Jackal tracked and is going to try to lead Supremacy on a wild goose chase. All of Secret are just waiting so patiently for the absolute mayhem that could begin. Lackey playing through that rotate hole. Meepy gets one, a double kill from Meepy. He's got everyone for his team. He's only got 2 more to go. And there are the pings. C4 goes out. Meepy will get his 4th. He's clicking for the last one, but Lackey will be there, depriving Meepy of the ace, but giving his team the victory, and Supremacy falls. It's 6-2 in favor of Secret, a big 3 points for the 3 Brits and the 2 Frenchmen on the team, as they will take over control of 2nd place on our standings.
Well, unfortunately, that leaves Supremacy in, yet again, number 8. Bad spot for them to be in. As you said before, and many times, they have yet to find a win. That was a match that they were very unlikely to find one. Nonetheless, though, 2 rounds isn't terrible, and I hope that with each of these matches, they are continuing to improve and learn. But hard to say because, with matches like this, it's hard to see that necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, a great individual effort from Dijous doing his best to try to keep the team in it. That's an individual performance that needs to happen on a more consistent basis for the rest of the team. Also, that Ash ban really showing how much it hindered Alive on
He
attack.
still had some good plays nonetheless, but yeah, I think that did hobble them a little.
Good plays on defense, I would say. On
Yeah.
attack, we really didn't see all that much from Alive.
True.
He wasn't able to get it started. He was the first casualty. We saw him get killed through that kill hole by Meepy, a great shot. The Alda is just an absolutely insane weapon.
Yeah, he needs a secondary main.
Yeah.
He really does.
It's and I mean, you can see how much that operator ban really affected that. And against Supremacy, we've also seen Ash get banned before. So this is not new. When Alive is on the board, you ban Ash.
I think it's pretty much the only time Ash is banned.
Yeah, I mean,
Supremacy.
You also saw Ash got banned, if I remember correctly, in DreamHack Montreal against Boot Camp as one of Apollo's best operators.
That's true.
I believe Ash might have even been banned against Liquid to try and limit what Nesk was capable of doing.
It's just the Latin Americans besides this, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you'll just see for players such as Nesk, he just moves on to Ying and is still able to wreak as much havoc. He just happens to have the ability to blind X amount of people with his Candelas. But the post-mortem on this game in particular, Secret just looking as sharp as usual. They had great anchor play. Their roamers died early a couple times, playing a little bit lost and wandering a bit too much. We saw it, the Legion going down early. Then we also saw Leon go down early in that final round.
That happens a lot to Leon, though.
I mean, Leon does tend to die
Well, I
early.
mean, he can be really impactful if he's allowed to live, and just sometimes it doesn't work out and he dies, but the rest of his team makes up for it generally.
Yeah. So, interesting game, all said and done. Supremacy had some good looks. Their first attack was quite strong. They had the ability to play the hatches from above and be able to stare all the way down at the Secret players, but that was really all they were able to get out of it from that transition. We have Meepy available for you to do an interview, the ever so well-spoken Brit, as we'll bring it up for you here. Nice to see you, Meepy. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How you guys doing?
I'm doing quite well. I thought it was going to be Leon, but it's you in place, so it's interesting. A lot of these teams are running different interviewers and kind of shaking it all up, but this match against Supremacy, you're coming in against a team that still hasn't won a match so far. One of in my opinions, one of the things that really goes with your success, and you can feel free to disagree with me here, is how you start off a round by how you use Leon. If Leon tends to do some silly things and die very, very early on, the rest of the team has to coalesce around the site. Look no further than the round that we just saw to end things off. great 4K for you. Congratulations. But
you.
how do you play around that? Are there concerted efforts to rein in the rest of the team? Do you deliberately send Leon off on disconnected roams? How does Secret make that work?
Leon has always been the primary entry fragger. We refer to him as potentially a hyper carrier because if he goes off, he just wins games on his own, and that's his biggest strength and equally his greatest weakness is that he's very aggressive, as you guys have been discussing, and that can be to his detriment. But when he gets those frags going on the board, then it just makes the round so much easier than it should have been. And when he dies, then the team really needs to, put on their socks, eat the breakfast, because, we've got to do the work for ourselves now. And it's something that we've been coming to terms with a little bit more over the past few months after Paris, is we feel our performance on the attack rounds have dropped a little bit, and that is primarily because I don't think we've been utilizing Leon enough, specifically if you look back at the Millennium games and the Vitality game. When Leon isn't, on like super performing, then everyone else has to step up. His co-entry fragger Alem needs to step up. Me and Lackey, who play flex support or flex aggressive, whatever we need to step up, and this is the support. So he can just sit on the drones.
Now, how much of your attack also lives and dies off of Lion not going banned? Because Lion typically does end up getting banned in most regions and in most games. When Lion goes unbanned, you put Lackey on it quite a lot. And we saw a number of rounds there with you on Jackal working in conjunction with that Lion, able to literally just pin people down better than a lot of teams do. And I mean, Lion is not necessarily just a push-button win round style of operator. But how much does Lion's ban really factor into your prowess on attack? Because it certainly seems like when your team has Lion at its disposal, like a lot of teams, but I think your team does it better, you tend to win attack rounds far more than you lose them.
Yeah, back when we didn't have operator picks and bans and Lion was running rampant with 3 charges and he was very overpowered, I think we were one of the teams that really picked him up and used it to the fullest potential that it possibly could have been used. And a lot of teams picked up on that very, very quickly, and then it suddenly became a staple ban, as everyone assumed that the Lion, Glaz, and all the other players, operators in the meta role would be banned. But when it comes to for us, for Lion, it's been banned against us so many times, not necessarily in just pro matches or ESL matches, but in scrims a lot as well, that we've gotten to the point now where we don't even rely on Lion. And coming into this match, we knew that they wouldn't ban Lion and that Lion would be an option for us. And we had a very long discussion before the match as to whether we want to use Lion, our strategies that we prepared for Supremacy, how do we want to fit Lion into them. And at the end of the day, Lion Jackal is a horrendously scary combination, as you are being real-time pinged and you cannot move.
I noticed that you timed the Lion with one of the refreshes of the Jackal ping, and there was just no point of return whatsoever for the Supremacy player there. So with that said, always great to pick your brain. You have a lot of incredible insight into the game. Anything to say to your fans or the viewers before we end the interview?
Sure thing. It's always as the typical as everyone says at the end of the game. The fans make this a lot more rewarding than it is. It'd be a lot more empty and a lot more quiet without their support or without them not just necessarily supporting us or Supremacy, but Pro League in general. So thank you very much to the fans.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.